Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today we have the final of our position ranks episodes, going after over the top 15 tight ends here. Not going to go much deeper than that. I don't think you really need to. Once you get past a certain point, they're kind of all the same to me. I mean, there's some rookies that could break out, but I don't think they even make our list right now, actually looking at this. It's going to be very close here. Any rookies off the top of your head do you think we should have in here? Or just avoid rookie tight ends? I want to say before we get into the episode.
Yeah, I'm not a huge believer in tight ends that are new to the league, so I'm probably avoiding them in the top 15. But, you know, there are some upside. Njoku and O.J. Howard are both talented players, so who knows?
Maybe Evan Ingram if Odell Beckham is hurt.
Never know.
Somber day right now. We don't know. Yeah, Odell Beckham just left the game with an injury. On Monday Night Football, who knows? Could be high ankle sprain. I don't know. I'm a little nervous because I'm a Odell Beckham owner in like pretty much all our leagues. So it's bothering me a little bit today, but that's part of the news we'll get to. We'll have our top 15 tight ends. Before we get into that, make sure you check us out on Twitter at the FF Prophet, Fantasy Football Prophet on Instagram, fantasyfootballprophet.com is the website, and Fantasy Football Prophet I can't remember the email address today. It's fantasyfootballprophet@gmail.com. Also, want to make sure you guys check out the FanUp app. We talked about it all last week. I got some people that have been asking me about it, downloading it, and really enjoying it, helping put all their teams together. So make sure you do that. It's basically you can put all your teams from all the different places, ESPN, Yahoo, NFL.com, My Fantasy League. Even if you just have one system you're even using. If you're just using ESPN, you don't have to be using all these. Put them all on one thing. It's so much easier to get to, especially like what I was telling you. I had 3 drafts the other night there, Jeff. That was crazy. So we have a lot of teams going on right now. So I have to somewhere to manage all these teams, and the FanUp app does all that for you. You can be able to basically check all your scores on one place, get all your player news. So when your player like Odell Beckham gets hurt, you hear about it right away with all your teams. So it's just, oh man, this really bothering me.
Can't get Beckham off your mind.
But make sure you guys check out the FanUp app. If you have any questions about whatever, get to us. We'll help you find that as well. All right, let's get to the tight ends. Let's just skip over news. I don't want to talk about it. There isn't much. Actually, we'll talk about news quick. The Odell Beckham, we don't know anything yet. There's just little minor stuff. LeGarrette Blount, all these, they could be cut, they say, and who knows. Talk about weight issues. I was never a big LeGarrette Blount fan heading into the season. I don't know about you. I don't think you were either. We kind of, at the beginning, maybe a little more. We kind of really, it tapered off real quick and realized, wait, this guy's really not that good.
Yeah, I mean, you give the guy a crack at the goal line, and he does pretty well in that, limited space. He's a big back. But, there's not a whole lot of upside outside of that, right? So, I mean, with the Patriots, he was a banger. They controlled the game with him. He had 18 touchdowns, and it really, obviously, anyone gets 18 touchdowns, they're going to be in the top 10. So he looked really good in that way, but you're going to a very different place with, Philadelphia. I don't think even if he was the primary goal line back, I don't think he would get near as many attempts in the red zone. Yep. So I think already, you cut that in half. I thought 10 would have been a very good season for him this year. And now that, they're talking about he came into camp overweight, and on top of that, he's, underwhelmed them. Doesn't bode well. I mean, they're talking Smallwood up now. It's not looking good for the big guy.
No, not at all. Leonard Fournette ruled out of the third preseason game for the Jaguars, still having that foot injury. Same one that hampered him at LSU, so it's something to watch. At this point, I think they're just not going to risk anything. Why? They play on a Thursday night, too, for the third week. And it's highly unlikely he plays in the fourth game anyway. No one plays in those if they ever going to do anything. John Brown returned to practice, actually, so that's good. James Palmer says that Jamal Charles' performance in the Broncos' third preseason game could determine whether or not he makes the team. So it's down to that.
Oh, wow.
And then I guess, so with Charles, a lot of people have been picking him up to be the handcuff or whatever, the insurance for C.J. Anderson, but maybe that's actually Booker. Booker's not out for the year, if I hear these things. Like, he's not. He's going to be back early in the season. Maybe he's the guy to get if you get C.J. Anderson. I don't know about Charles. I mean, he hasn't done anything. He has no guaranteed money on his deal. They could get rid of him, no problem. They might, He might not make the team, so I would, temper my expectations there. Maybe not get him. Maybe C.J. Anderson is the guy completely.
Yeah, you should be drafting Charles as if he's a lottery pick anyway. Very, very late at the end of your bench. If lightning hits, wonderful. If it doesn't, you throw him out and you try someone new.
Yep. Matt Forte, they're saying might not even be ready for week 1. That's just not looking good. Anquan Bolden retired. Barely was there with the Bills. He's already gone.
Obviously, he's very angry with something. I'm not sure if he thought he was going to be in the mix more. He's angry the fact that they picked up a new guy after they traded out Watkins. I don't know.
Ebron is still missing from Lions practice. Still not there. It just seems to be that's what happens with Eric Ebron, and we'll talk about him in a little bit here. And he's on our ranks, but he's not as high up as we thought he would be. Trevor Siemian beat out Paxton Lynch, looks like, for the quarterback job over there in Denver. Kept hoping that Lynch would have something in him and could beat him out. And just not there as a guy.
Oh, man, especially only a couple of games in. Like, the fact that he didn't even push it to the regular season, I mean, you really have to underperform.
Yep. That's, not much else going on there right now, so nothing much news. Let's get into the tight end ranks. Let's start it off. Number 1, Rob Gronkowski. No surprise there. He's still our number 1 tight end. Some people have seen him and dropped him down slightly because there's all this injury risk, but, I mean, who knows? He could get hurt, sure. He's been injury prone, I guess. But if he plays, he's far and away the best option at tight end. He has to be ranked number 1 no matter what. I don't like to rank always based on injury completely, or especially when you have a guy that is this much better. So he's our number 1. I still don't draft him, though. That's the other part about it.
Yeah.
I don't get him because
he is by far and away the best tight end in the NFL. And, I mean, you can see it too. Obviously, you always worry about injuries with him now. That's the only knock against the guy. But, I mean, man, is there anyone else, if he is healthy, would you even consider anyone else?
No.
I mean, he would be on a tier all to himself, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just, he's that good.
Yeah, and, I mean, even more so, if you look at this, he's been either 1 or 2 4 out of the last 6 years. The 2 years that he wasn't was last year. He was still 22nd overall, and he only played half the games. Yep. And then 2013, he only played 7, and he was still 14th. That's how scary he is.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with it. I mean, the problem is I don't draft him because I think it's too much.
It's a very big price tag for a guy.
In an auction, he goes for maybe double what Kelsey goes for, or you draft him a couple rounds ahead of him. It's too much. It's too much. He's that good, but it's still too much for me.
Yeah. Last year really scared me. Before that, if you're looking for the biggest advantage in different positions, that's why, Aaron Rodgers, he's a slight advantage over any other quarterback that you can possibly get. I think Gronk is, when healthy, by far the biggest advantage you can have. Yep. But the fact that he only played 8 games last year, missed 1 game the prior to and then played half a season again, and then, missed 5 before that. Like, he will miss games. You're just going to have to deal with that. But right now, it's too rich for my blood in order to take that kind of risk when I feel, I can get a tight end right after that would, it would keep me in it. I can kind of count on him a little more. I don't have to spend a lot on him. So his price tag is just a little too high for me, but he's such a phenomenal player. It's always interesting whenever you see him go.
Yep. All right, number 2 is Travis Kelce. Really no surprise there. He's kind of moved up the ranks here. And if he could just get some touchdowns, he would be Gronk level if he could get touchdowns.
He would be up there.
Just not there. I mean, he's had only 14 touchdowns in his entire career. That's the problem with it. But he had 85 catches for 1,100 yards last year. Still only 4 touchdowns. But now, do we think without Macklin there, it's just Tyreek Hill and Kelce are the only 2 options? Kelce's, to me, their number 1 option right now. Hill's going to do, obviously, what Tyreek Hill does, but I think Kelce's their number 1 receiving option.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't see those numbers going down.
No, and once again, I love the fact that everything's trending upwards for him. So every year he's gotten more receptions. Last year at 85, which is, a lot for a tight end, which is awesome. 1,100 yards, so that's wonderful if that actually goes up again. I mean, he's in uncharted territory for tight ends. And like you said, the tight ends, like how long before that number is just an outlier where you can catch, 90 balls and you're only going to have 4 touchdowns when you're 6'5"? I don't see that happening. I think that was a little bit more of hard to say a fluke because he went 5, 5, and 4. But at the same time, I think finally he is that number 1 option in Casey, where last year was kind of his breakout. And before that, you had Macklin. He was, still young, so still coming into his own. So I'm really excited. I think, obviously, he's going to have another good year. the sky's the limit for the guy, and hence why he's number 2.
Number 3, we haven't moved him down. It's Jordan Reed. He's both of our third receivers. And these top 3, we had the same exact top 3. It changes after this. We don't have any more consensus after this. But to me, it's with Jordan Reed. If he's healthy and if he plays, this is another thing like with Gronk, but he's that good, but he's never done it. That's my worry. But why I feel more comfortable doing this with tight ends maybe is if you can get them for a good price or later round. I don't feel that there's not as much risk if you miss out. You know what I mean? Like if you miss out, okay, sure, you missed out. I'll just go grab maybe Jack Doyle's a free agent. CJ Fedorowicz, I don't care. Get a guy for 60 and 600, like we've said before. If you miss out, but if you don't, if you hit, you're in just great shape.
Yeah, and the good thing about Reed is, at least the drafts I've been in, he's being a little undervalued. People are really afraid of the injury risk, which they should be. But at the same time, like we always say, there's always a price where where I'm willing to get that person. And his, isn't that far off. I mean, will he miss a few games? It would be a miracle if he didn't. I mean, his best season was 14 games. Yep. But even with that, the last 2 years, when he played 14, he was the 3rd overall tight end. And when he played last year, when he played 12, he was still in the top 10. He was 9th. So, I mean, that shows you how good he is. But yeah, and you can always, my biggest thing with him last year was the fact that it always felt like he was hanging around, like you weren't sure if you could play him or not, like until the last second. So with him, you almost need to have that second tight end on your bench at all times so you can throw him in at the last second. Yep. So it does kind of take up another roster spot. So keep that in mind when you draft him as well.
He actually just came off the PUP list. So
he did.
He's there. So
yeah, good news finally for Reed.
All right, here we go. Number 4 is actually a tie. We had a little tie here with our players. It's because I ranked one 4th and the other 6th. You ranked the other guy 4th and 6th. So it's Tyler Eifert and Jimmy Graham.
Okay.
They end up with a tie here. You've actually moved Eifert up a little bit since we did our ranks 2-3 months ago. He's gone up slightly. And it seems, he seems like he's going to be able to be out there, hopefully.
He's finally healthy. Or they say he's finally 100% healthy for like the first time ever. So that's why he moved up gradually in mine. So as soon as I knew he was actually going to be able to play week 1, his value jumped up. And it really is risk-reward with this guy. Once again, he's much like Reed for me, where his ceiling is so high because of, you've already seen it, how many touchdowns the guy can get in limited amount of play.
It's all touchdowns for him. That's what it is. It's like if he gets more volume with the amount of touchdowns he gets, he's going to be a top guy. It's just, can he stay healthy and can he get the volume? But if he's healthy, I think he'll get it. He just hasn't been healthy.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny between these two because I feel Graham is a much, much safer pick. Yep. And Eifert is the maybe higher ceiling. Yep. But I also like the fact, you like Russell Wilson this year. If you think he's going to do better, hence why you have Graham.
Graham himself has said he's finally, last year he wasn't ready. He wasn't 100% last year coming off that injury.
Yeah.
And he's in much better shape this year. He's lost about 20 pounds. Just if he's get some of that athleticism back.
Well, last year everyone wrote him off. They didn't think he was going to be able to do anything because he was coming off that major injury. He can't prove everyone wrong. So, I love Graham this year, but Eifert he's kind of the dark horse, if you will. If he stays healthy, it's going to be really fun to have him. And if he gets hurt, you're going to be in limbo again.
Oh man, I'm looking at Twitter right now.
You're watching for Beckham. So.
I'm looking at Beckham news. If there's any news, I'll let you know here. I'm just a little man. Oh man, Beckham, it's my guy. It's bothering me right now. All right.
Yeah. He looked all right. He walked off under his own accord.
Number 6, Greg Olsen, who actually is both of our number 5 players. So in reality, they would have all tied here, but based on our tiebreaker system, those two tie and he drops below him. For me with Olsen, everyone just looks at his numbers for all of last year and it's like, oh, just pencil it in. But we've kind of looked and saw after the bye week last year, when the Panthers it was really clear they weren't any good. His numbers weren't good. Look at his game log from last year. It fell off quite a bit as the season went on. Most people seem to think that it's just going to bounce back this year. It was just Panthers. It was just a bad year. Cam's going to bounce back somewhat. They have a better offense now, and Olsen's numbers just return. But I'm not sure they're going to. I'm not sold on it. But I still have them top 5 because I think it's a possibility. But everyone seems to think it's just a sure thing, and I'm not there. I'm not there on a sure thing right now.
Yeah, I like him at number 5. Yeah. I don't think he's a top 3 tight end anymore. Yep. Once again, it's hard to say he's going to completely fall off because really his numbers haven't changed the last 3 years hardly at all. It's about 1,000 yards, and then the touchdowns is what really took the hit. He had 3 instead of the usual 7, 8. Will he return? They have more weapons now. They have McCaffrey. They have, Samuel. Funchess is supposed to make a step. I don't think so. But so you have a lot more weapons. So I don't know. I see it bouncing back a bit, but I think 5th is probably the true spot for him. I think he's extremely safe, but I think you're kind of getting a guy that his ceiling is coming down a bit.
I think so too. It's not going to be falling off all the way, but this isn't his best. I think his best years behind him now.
I agree, and he, you can play a long time when you're a tight end, but he's going to be 33 this year.
Yep.
So I think Witten is really kind of the older tight end, but Witten's only 2 years older than this guy, really.
Number 7 is going to be Kyle Rudolph, your 7th, my 8th player. He's just basically just gets all the targets over there.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that I don't want to put up that high. Like I want to put someone with a little more upside, if you will. But it's just impossible not to put him up there because he gets a ton of targets. He's at a team with Bradford who loves to throw short passes. It's kind of built for him. Once again, I can't get excited about the guy, but I don't want to penalize him for that.
Yeah, it's the funny thing is everyone seems to think last year was just he got all these catches and they're just nothing from Bradford. They're just short passes, all this stuff. He had the same exact yards per catch last year as he did the year before when Bridgewater was a quarterback. So I don't think I think that's what he is. He does get some touchdowns. I wouldn't say he's just this crazy red zone threat. 7 touchdowns last year, that's fine. But off of 83 catches, it's not like it's a lot, I would say. It's solid. It's good. It's better than Kelsey's touchdown numbers. He also gets similar catch numbers that Kelsey gets. He just doesn't get the yards.
Yeah. And how much can he actually go up from last year?
I don't know if he can too much.
So he played a full season, and he had 83 catches, which is like 30 catches more than any other season he's ever had. And he got 840 yards with 7 touchdowns. So one other year he had 9 touchdowns, which I think is a little bit of an anomaly because after that it's 5, and that's when he had the second best season.
Yep.
So, yeah, and on the same thing, Diggs, supposedly he's going to be healthy. If he's healthy the entire year, you have Cooks, which can catch it out of the backfield a little more. So that's why I think he retreated. I think maybe the numbers stay about same, but I think he drops a few touchdowns, if I'm being honest. I don't think this is the greatest season for him, but once again, I think this guy is extremely safe. And when you were talking, there's kind of 4 tight ends that I kind of lumped together a bit. They're all very close to one another in points last year. And those guys don't excite me, but I think they're all safe. And after we get finished, we can kind of lump them together in tiers.
The next one is Zach Ertz, 8th. And he's my 7th, your 9th. He's kind of that same.
I like Ertz a lot more, though. I think he does have upside compared to the other guys.
His numbers end up looking similar. If you look at his overall numbers for the year, it doesn't look great. It doesn't look amazing. It's obviously better than these guys below this. It's kind of similar to a Rudolph in a way. But if you really break it down and look at his last 5 games, it's not even number 5. It's 4 of the last 5 games. He was just great last year. Let's say in his last 5, he had 9 for 79 and touchdown, 10 for 112, 6 for 80. Then he had the dud of 2 for 33. Then he finished off the season with 13 for 139 and 2 touchdowns.
And that was against Dallas, too.
Yeah, so those last games, he was really stepping up there. And really, if you look at his numbers, probably really suffer from a stretch there where he went 3, 1, 1, and 4 catches there. We only had, 9 catches in a span of 4 weeks. That's where his season really hurt. In that sense, actually, if you really want to even look at it further, pretty much from, his 6th game on, he was good, and he got really good at the end, which was the beginning of the season wasn't any good. So maybe that's Carson Wentz coming around, that might be what that is. I like him a lot. I think, though, if that trend continues, he's going to be very good.
Yeah, that's why I like actually to wait. Would I bet on, Rudolph, these guys ahead of Ertz? Probably. If you want to be safe about it, I think Ertz has much higher ceiling. I think he could be extremely good. I mean, the fact that last year, and you saw what he did, Craig just went over it, but he missed 2 games, and he had a slow start, and he still had 78 catches for 800 yards and 4 touchdowns, and that was with Wentz being a rookie. So the fact that it seems like he got really comfortable throwing him the ball late in the season, I think that really just makes me believe that he actually developed a rapport. And now that, their second leading guy or their number one wide receiver is gone to the Bills, and you don't know yet how quickly him and Elshon are going to be on the same page.
Yep.
I think he's going to be his safety blanket. I really like Ertz this year. I think he's worth the investment. I think he's one of those guys even better you can wait and grab, and he might be just as good as some of these higher ups.
All right, number 9. I actually don't agree with this ranking. It's way too high. We are consistent. It's all because of you.
I already know who you're going to say.
Delaney Walker.
I know you hate Walker.
I hate Delaney Walker. I have him at 11. I would have him. I really want to put him at 12. I can't. It's because of Ebron. We'll get to Ebron a little bit. Ebron would be the one ahead of him, so I can't have him lower than this. But I hate him. I am not a fan of Delaney Walker this year. I've looked at his numbers. He had one breakout season. That's it. He was okay last year. He's 33 years old. They added Corey Davis. They added Eric Decker. I mean, they added Taywan Taylor. No one talks about him. He looks pretty good at times.
Mm-hmm.
They still have Rashard Matthews. They like to run the ball, too. I think he's my candidate to really drop. I don't even know if he can match his numbers. What were they, 65 and 800? Somewhere around there? I don't have them up in front of me.
I will have to look.
I think that's like 65, 807. I'm going to take a guess.
That's probably pretty close. It sounds like every tight end ever.
It is. I'm not exactly sure. I feel like I don't know why I threw those numbers out. I must have seen it somewhere. I just think he's going to drop. I don't think he's even going to hit that. I don't think the touchdowns are going to stay there. That's where I think it's going to drop. I don't think the touchdowns are going to stay there. I think Corey Davis is going to be really good, take away those targets.
What did you say he got?
65, 807.
That's exactly what he got.
All right, so I must have definitely read that somewhere.
And he did miss a game as well. It's kind of funny, too, to your point. I don't think he's going to drop near as much. I think those are pretty safe because 65, 800, even with adding those people, is not crazy numbers.
I just think
the year before that, he had 94 catches, and this is the one year you're talking about he broke out, right?
Yep.
So 94 catches for almost 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns. I think they're going to keep using him in the red zone. The last 2 years, he's had 13 touchdowns together. And not that preseason is an indicator of anything, but obviously he caught a touchdown in week 2 of preseason. So I think it's just one of their plays, their go-tos now with Mariota. And once again, I think he's more of a kind of a security blanket for a guy that's played with him his entire career, being a young quarterback. Once again, not insanely high on him, but I'm not ready to say he's ready to fall off because he still looks pretty good. And he plays majority of games. He doesn't really get hurt, so he's a really safe pick. But he's actually the last guy in that tier. And I was joking about how these guys really look the same. But Olsen, Rudolph, Graham, and Walker, I like Graham more than the other guys. But those 4 guys almost scored the identical amount of points last year.
Yep.
And all of them you kind of have seen what they've done. They're all aging for the most part. I mean, obviously Olsen and Walker are older, and Graham and Rudolph still have a little bit to go. But those guys are incredibly safe, but they're also not that exciting. So those are the guys I would almost lump together, and I would actually go for the outskirts, like, the Ertz, Eifert, you can fill in. So it is interesting. I know you hate Walker, but I'm not ready yet to toss him under the bus.
I pretty much am.
Just done with him in general.
Still no new news on the Odell Beckham front, just to let you know. So nothing yet. Number 10, Hunter Henry. My 9th, your 10th. That's weird.
I know. I love Hunter Henry, but at the same time, it's because Delaney.
He's clearly better than Delaney Walker.
I only worry because they have a lot more weapons, and Gates just won't get out of the way. So as soon as Gates isn't there completely, I would believe wholeheartedly in Henry. I think he's going to be an amazing player. I just there's a lot of question marks around him, and I drafted him on multiple of my teams. Like, I truly believe in him, but I think if I'm ranking them like this, he definitely has more risk involved. And that's why he made number 10 and not, if it was upside, he'd probably be like number 3.
It's just Walker's no good. Henry's much better. But yeah, there's not much I can say about Hunter Henry other than I think he's a very good player and he showed flashes of it. We don't have the stats to back it yet. We can't really say much about that. He's got a lot of touchdowns. His percentage of touchdowns compared to catches, that's going to probably drop. He can't sustain that, but his volume should go up.
We say that, but we didn't say that about Eifert, though.
Yeah, it's true.
And Eifert's catching, 18 of 21 games or something stupid like that.
I like him a lot, but it's not stat-based, so there's not much to say there. Just I've watched him play. He looks good. He's a good player. So, all right, we'll move on. Number 11, Martellus Bennett. My 10th, your 11th. I have Bennett ahead of Walker because he's a better player than Delaney Walker. You do not.
No. And
I like the opportunity in Green Bay. I'm actually starting to come around and bend it a little bit. For a while there, I didn't care even slightly, but he's been a good player. His age is getting up there too. He's still younger than Delaney Walker though, so he's there.
Well, Delaney Walker's getting up there for sure.
But Bennett, I just think there's going to be a good opportunity. Not like I don't think he's going to be top 5. I've actually seen him top 5 on a couple ranks, which is crazy. I think the majority of the market has him around where we have him. I just think there's a good opportunity there, and he's a good player. He's probably the best tight end Rodgers has had. I mean, who other Jermichael Finley could have been back a few years back. Yeah. Jared Cook isn't as good.
No.
So this is probably the best option he's had that Rodgers has ever had at tight end. So we always say the tight ends really haven't done a lot, but I don't think he's had a great option to do a lot with.
Yeah, I have a hard time with this one because you think Green Bay and you think that they're just going to scorch it and they throw it to everyone. But every time, including Jermichael Finley, I've never seen a tight end break out there. So I don't want to go out on a limb all of a sudden and think that it's going to change because, he's not the first, big athletic tight end that, Rodgers has seen. Bennett, he does have the stats to back it up a bit. So, in 2013, he was 8th overall. And then the next year, he was 5th overall. And then he drops off because he was hurt. And then last year, obviously, with Patriots, he was 7th overall. So he's definitely done it before. I think it's a different scheme. We all know how much the Patriots throw to the tight end position. And we all know, like, in Chicago, that was needed because they have less weapons. It's a really scary thing to think that he would go too much higher than this. Could he go into that range where he's probably as safe as someone like Rudolph? Yeah, I would say so, probably. But I would still need to see it. And also I think maybe an injury is almost needed for him to really get the extra attention. Because Jordy and Adams soak up so much of the red zone that it kind of leaves him on the outs looking in, being the first year there. And that's where my words come from. It's not the fact that he's not talented or he hasn't done it before. I just with that Green Bay offense, it just never seems to run through the tight end.
That seems. I think Bennett might change that. Like I'm not going to think it's crazy. I think there's going to be some. I think it's going to be good there. And on the Odell Beckham front, Ian Rappaport from NFL, I think he's from NFL.com, just said, I don't know. This is weird. Let's see where it went. Oh, I lost it. Never mind. The sprain. It's still just a sprained ankle. No big deal. We're just still worrying.
You're watching a man break down psychologically.
Number 12, Eric Ebron. He's my 12, you're 12. I don't like this right now. I was really big on Eric Ebron. He's still young. He's coming into his 4th year. I really like the potential, but this guy cannot stay healthy. He's been hurt all preseason, basically. He's not practicing, not playing. I can't expect anything. I almost think this is too high. I'm almost worried about this. I just like him better than the guys below, but that's why I think we both have him at 12, because then we both have the same 13, 14, 15, which is crazy. So we're exact on this, that he's better than the guys below him for potential-wise. Just, yeah, I don't even know. You can base his numbers were solid when he played. He just doesn't play.
No, the most he's played is 14 games. The other 2 years, 13. So he just seems to be hobbled a lot. The thing I do like about him is he's trending up, right? And you've seen it with a bunch of the other ones that we're talking about. Kelsey is a prime example. They go up in receptions, they go up in yards, and sometimes the touchdowns just aren't there. And that is what happened to Ebron. So last year, the fact that he only caught 1 touchdown, being that size, that scares me a lot. I don't know what that means. It's not that the Lions don't need a red zone threat. I couldn't tell you what it is. And he had problems with drops as well. So having, a lot of guys you can throw it to on that offense, now that Galladay is there as well and Abdullah is supposed to be healthy, it becomes a little more of a cluster. And the fact that he never established himself last year makes me really want to be hands off with Ebron. Yeah. Even though, man, he's really athletic. Freakish, right? Athletic wise. It's just sad to see that doesn't look like he's ever going to quite put it all together.
It bothers me. I thought he's such a good talent, and man, if he can get help, maybe this could be completely changed. Week 1, he's out there, no problem.
Could be.
It's all these hamstring injuries, whatever he has, they just linger, and there's better options at this point. Like, he's just a flyer, but in most leagues you don't even pick up a second tight end anyway. he's just going to sit there on the waivers, just watch it, I guess.
Yeah, and he's more of a streaming guy right now. And I think we both agreed. We talked about him earlier in the season before he was hobbled again.
Yep.
And we didn't really change our rank too much about him. He's kind of floated around in this area, but he is the one guy that if for some reason someone's going to come out of nowhere and be a top 5 guy, it could be Ebron because he's that athletic. And really, you throw a few more touchdowns on there and, his points are going to skyrocket.
Odell Beckham's back on the sideline walking around, no problem. Looks like so. Just
you can.
By the time people hear this, they're already going to know what the actual injury is anyway. But just God,
breathe easy, buddy.
It's all right. Number 13 is a tie for 2 players here. One I have 13, you have 14, 13. It's Austin Hooper and Jack Doyle. And again,
I'm surprised. So I actually have Austin Hooper ahead of you.
What's up with it?
I don't know.
Okay, and again, this is going to be 2 situations where we have nothing to really back this with stats. There's, especially Hooper. There's nothing to say with Hooper. For me, it's almost like I watched Hooper play in the playoffs a lot and towards the end of the season and think he looks like there's some potential to be a good player. He not showing it all the time. He's a young rookie tight end last year. Wasn't there all the time, but you could see flashes. He's in a great offense. They used to target the tight end there in Atlanta. Matt Ryan's done that before. It's not unheard of. Been hearing great stuff on Hooper this preseason from Matt Ryan too, and just people are saying he's really stepping up. It's still he's on this border of being drafted. I don't have him on any team yet. One team. I did pick him up in one of our listener leagues, which we'll talk about that another episode. But I did pick him up as my tight end. My tight end won. It was my idea in that one. I'm just going to wait and completely get a tight end one of the last rounds, and I did that and got Hooper. I think that could work out. I think there's some potential there. I think I have Jack Doyle ranked ahead of Hooper. I think there's a lot more potential in Hooper than Jack Doyle. Doyle's obviously safer, but I think there's a lot more potential with Hooper. He could jump up. So.
Yeah, and I think Doyle jumped below Hooper for me when Luck, you figure out he's not going to play week 1 most likely,
that's
and
the worry.
You don't know what's happening with him. So Doyle kind of took a hit on my list, and who knows what Hooper's actually going to do? We're kind of going off the eye test on this one, and he just looks the part. And the fact that the longer he played in last season, the better and better he got.
Yep.
And I don't see any other tight ends really pushing him, right? I mean, I never know how to say his name.
Yeah, I don't even. Yeah, I know. I know Jimmy. That's it.
But, Levine or whatever his name is.
Let's look up the depth chart if you don't know what I'm talking about.
But he just never really solidified himself as a threat at all in the passing game.
Yep.
So I think it's Hooper's to take. I think he's going to run with it. And like Craig said, once again, you're hearing a lot of good things. And for being this late, I'm going to believe him, especially in that offense. I mean, this guy's the limit for as much production as you want to put in. You can usually get that.
He's a guy, if you want to completely just wait forever, you can pick up Hooper. And if it doesn't work, who cares? Just or Hooper, both these guys, I'm saying. You wait forever to get these.
Yeah, and there's always tight ends down here, that are on the waiver. So he doesn't work out, you can try Ebron. Ebron doesn't work out, you can more than likely try Doyle. And if Doyle doesn't work out, someone's going to be out there. So it's not the end of the world. Tight end is much more of a free-flowing spot that's not as bad. It's kind of like QB once you get past 1 and 2.
Yep.
There's a lot in the middle that can really play.
Our final guy we're going to talk about today, 15th player. We both ranked him 15th. It's Kobe Fleener. Not excited.
No.
But there's more. There's something maybe here. Last year he was ranked top 5 in a lot of preseason stuff, at least top 6 around there, going into that offense. And it didn't quite work. Didn't quite happen. 50 catches last year for about 600 yards, 3 touchdowns only. He had less catches than he did with the Colts, but he had a lot more yards. His yards jumped. His yards per catch went from 9.1 to 12.6 when he went over to the Saints, but he still had the same amount of touchdowns. So I don't believe he ever really, him and Breeze didn't have anything going, kind of a thing. And maybe with Cooks gone, I think if Cooks is gone, they didn't add anybody. It's just people expect the targets all to go to Thomas, all to go to Snead. Mm-hmm. Maybe even, no one's talking about Brandon Coleman but me. But Brandon Coleman I kind of like. But Fleener should pick up some of this, I would think. If Breeze actually wants to throw the ball to him. If maybe he just doesn't have it.
Yeah. I've never been impressed with him, and the thing that worries me, New Orleans always spreads the ball out. Can he add some? I mean, he could absolutely. He only had 50 catches last year, but the last 4 years he's been in the league, he's been between 50 and 54 catches, and 3 to 4 touchdowns. He had one outlier year where he had 8 touchdowns with Indy. So I don't know. I think this is probably just what he is.
Yeah.
I think he just got really overhyped last year, and people got really excited he's going to be in this offense. They throw a lot. They throw a lot in Indy. So I don't think it was any difference, really. I don't think he's that much of a standout, and I think he's a streamer at best.
Yep, I agree. I don't see it happening. So that's it for our tight end ranks. Some guys we didn't rank here, but, Fedorowicz, Cameron Brate, Jared Cook, O.J. Howard, Njoku, Ingram, all those guys. So I just stay away from the rookie tight ends, and just not gonna go for them right now. Maybe one could break out, and I could be wrong, but I don't know. I don't see a reason to risk it when tight end you don't have. It's not like there's 25 tight ends rostered in a league. You only have a certain amount. Most people only get one. Some get 2. And it's not often, but so. What, the most 15 tight ends are probably rostered in a lot of leagues? You don't need to take a rookie. You don't.
Yeah, and especially Njoku I find interesting. He's on such a bad offense, but they need weapons, so maybe they find a way to use him. O.J. Howard, I think, is NFL ready. I think, he probably has a lot more upside than a lot of the rookies coming in the past years. But the fact is, Cameron Brate was very serviceable last year. I think he was 6th overall as a tight end. I guess why rock the boat and force that rookie out there and to do all the work? I don't even think it's going to be a 50-50 split in the beginning. So I think he's going to get less work than all the other guys, and I think that will hurt him. Yep. So I think he's a guy that could catch on in year 2, but I think people vastly overestimate how quickly he's going to be accustomed to the NFL.
No, I agree. All right, that'll be it for tight ends. Now, not the most exciting of positions, maybe. There's some guys I like, but you have a pretty good idea who's going to be good and who's not. When it comes to tight ends, there's not as much intrigue with the tight ends, and
that's why I like to wait on tight end as well.
I typically do. I did get Kelsey in the draft we just did the other day, which is
he went for way under value. I think that was a great pick.
But sometimes things change. You go into a draft with one strategy, and it might completely change.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that again too on another episode. That'll be it for today. Once again, thanks to FanUp for sponsoring today's show. Make sure you check out their app. Definitely put all your teams on there if you have a million like I have. Good way to manage it all. Talk to you guys tomorrow.